Okay, this isn't an update. This is going to be a little video showing how to ballast the Kato Unitrack, but you could ballast any track with tile grout. Okay, so I purchased my tile grout from Lowe's. It costs, I think it's 29 Canadian a bag now. It was 25 a bag. I have done miles of track with it. It's very thin. It's not as thick as the smallest Woodland Scenics ballast. The reason that I stopped using the Woodland Scenics ballast is because it's not a good looking product to me. It looks too large for end scale, and from what I've read, it is a walnut that you would use for sandblasting, and then it's dyed gray. And there's nothing wrong with that, the typical way of doing it. But in my opinion, this is a much better way of doing things. So the tools that you're going to need to do this, I pretty much all got here except for the pick. So you need basically a sprayer. Now I've got this sprayer, like if you understand what I'm talking about. This is a very light kind of mister sprayer. Then I've got this little hairdresser sprayer. This one, even on its lightest setting, it can kind of disturb it more, and it doesn't stay on the track as easily. But I'll explain in a little bit why I have both. Now, I buy the alcohol from the dollar store, and it's 50-50 water and alcohol. This bottle says 70. When it was new, it was, but I refill these with those. So these are cheaper, $1.75 each. A brush to basically spread it around. A pick, a mechanic's pick, to clean out the inside flanges after it's dry. So I'm not going to use that on this video, but I think that's all the tools. Oh, and a sifter, which you're going to see. So okay, let's get started. So basically what I do first is I use this bottle, to get the track wet. Okay, so that's the first step. Now, right here, I have basically a parking lot, and I don't want ballast to stick to that, so I'm using some masking tape to cover it. On the other side, I've got plaster cloth with some old sections of tile grout, so I don't care if it gets on the other side. Put a couple pieces of masking tape on here just to cover. I'm just going to do a small area. Not really ready to do this area yet, but as far as the other method of ballasting, it's quite stressful to me. It looks crappy, and it costs quite a bit more. If you buy the Woodland Scenics ballast in the hobby shop, it's 20 bucks a container. So basically, you got to think of it like putting on icing sugar. Yeah, it's about the consistency of it. Well, I'm kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel of my biscuit color here. I've got it in a 5-gallon pail that you can't see off camera. Just a second. So, sifter, and I've got some in there. So, basically, I'm just putting it on, and you see how that sticks to that wet surface. And the profile of the Unitrack, it's sticking to the side because it's wet. Now, if you've never tiled anything before, what I can tell you is when you wet it and it dries, it's like glue. It's cement is what it is. And when it hardens, it's done. There's no glue other than the powder, the cement, that I'm spraying on my track. There's no tape going on the rails. I don't like those two things, because when you tape the rails, if that was what you were doing, you're leaving glue residue behind, which is going to attract dirt. Yes, you can clean it, but it's an extra thing that you don't need to do with this method. So right now I've got grout on top of the rails, okay? So you can use your finger to take it off, or you can use a brush. So I'm not going to go in between the rails, like on top of the ties. I'm just gonna go on the top of the rail. So this brush is a little bit big, but needs something kind of easy to dust it off with. Now, this is kind of the first layer, okay? And I do two layers of the ballast or the grout. So I would do this, have it dry overnight, and then come back and do a light touch-up to the areas that it doesn't stick to when you're vacuuming. Okay, so I'm gonna just take my finger and clean the top of the rail. And now basically that rail is as clean as it was before I sifted this stuff on there. So if I spray with this bottle, the big nozzle, this stuff is so light that it's going to blow off, okay? So that's why I like this sprayer. That's why I have the second kind, okay? I don't know the names of these sprayers. So I'm just misting it from pretty far away. And I'm getting it completely saturated. Now that I have this on here, you might not be able to tell, but there are areas where the Unitrack gray is showing through. I want my ballast to be tan in this case. You can get gray tile grout, just so you know. So basically, I've got the first layer on. The rails are already clean. When this is dry, in a couple hours, the tops of the rails are usable. Because they're so light and small of product on here, it already isn't going to cause issues with your flanges. Now, sometimes, I say that, there is a little bit on the inside. So I've got this pick that's this kind of curved shape. You could use a different one, but I like this one because it goes right on the inside. And this is, I just rub this. I'm going to do it because I don't want to knock that off. So I'm just, that's how I do it tomorrow or when this is dry. It probably doesn't take a day to dry, but I just use it overnight. Now, what I like to do is, I'm going to go get it. Hold on. Mod Podge. This is better than white glue. This is a gloss one. There's a, oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Hold on. There's a flat or a matte one. So I use the matte one. Let's put it there so you can see. And what I would do next is when this has got its second layer. So basically, to recap, I've got this on, it's dried. Tomorrow I'm gonna do another sift. I'm gonna do exactly what I just did. And then I can take this and squeeze a little bit in between. This is the double track, a little bit on the edge. I can make dots with this bottle. And then I take my static grass machine and shake it. And basically I've got grass tufts of weeds on my ballast. Okay, so this is what this is how I do it. I'm gonna pick up the camera now so that you can see. Let me just get this crap out of the way. And that tape didn't really do its full job, but we'll just wipe this off here. One second, I gotta get something to wipe that with. I'll be right back. I use these all the time in the train room, the baby wipe. Just want to get it off of this parking lot. Okay, so that's what your ballast looks like, guys. Now, if you didn't want, as a preference, it coated as much, and like I say, there's some gray showing, so tomorrow I'm not going to sift completely. I'm only going to sift in this gray area on the side, or patching it in. Picking up where you left off is no problem. So these are those cement ties, so I'm kind of trying to cover them up. Now here's a dried area that's had the two coats, and you can kind of see what it looks like. I'm trying to cover my cement ties because I'm modeling the 1947. That's what it looks like, white. At some point, what I'm gonna come do over top of this is airbrush some brown. I don't want to paint every tie or anything like that. I don't want to paint my rails on the side or anything like that. But that's what it looks like wet. Let's just zoom out here. And that's what it looks like dry. Okay, so inexpensive. How hard was that to put on? You guys let me know in the comments what you think. At one point, the example I used in a comment to somebody today was, we all used to use plywood for train tops. Now everybody uses pink or blue or white foam. So this is a way that you should be doing your ballast and end scale, in my opinion. All right, have a good day.